But I remember vividly, I was in my room and an incarnation showed up, and then another incarnation showed up, and then another, and then another. And there were about five, not saying anything, saying absolutely nothing. And he just looks at me and he goes,
Tell me about your reincarnational memory once you sort of awoke.
okay. So when I was a kid, I used to leave my body automatically. I mean, I still do now, but when I was a kid, I used to just leave my body all the time. So I knew right away that I wasn't really RJ, if that makes sense. I wasn't really the human character. I knew that from jump. My earliest memories are literally of me outside of my body looking back at my body. Those are my earliest memories as RJ. So I was never under the delusion or illusion that I'm this guy, right? Okay.
Hmm.
Now, I had vivid memories of experiences in different incarnations. When I was a kid, I wasn't exactly sure what was happening. I wasn't exactly sure what was happening. But obviously, much later on, and I'll get to that, I was able to now understand what was even going on back when I was 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. So I would have vivid memories as if I was experiencing it again, as a different character, right? In a totally different body, in a totally different time frame, timeline,
Hmm.
even. Okay. Now I kind of dismissed that for a while because I felt like it wasn't giving me, I wasn't focusing on being RJ if I was becoming too involved in my other lifetimes, right? It's like I'm here now and I need to be fully here now.
Hmm.
So I kind of left that alone, but I'll jump ahead. I'll jump ahead to after I got paralyzed, and there were certain names when I was a kid that I would say over and over again. I'm not going to say those names, but there were certain names that I would say over and over again. And they were actually other incarnations of me, or that I was them and they are me, right? Other projections of the higher self that I'm from. So I would say these names over and over again as a kid, almost like a mantra. And I think I was trying to wake myself up. I was literally trying to wake myself up. And I would say there was two names in particular I would say over and over and over again. And it only really made perfect, absolute sense till shortly thereafter that I became paralyzed. Because when I woke up from surgery, I had fully awakened again, and there was a moment where I was in the room. I had gotten discharged from the hospital. I was in the room, and it's not unusual for other incarnations to show up, and I would speak with other incarnations, even though I'm from the same higher self. And from a human perspective, we would say that's me and I'm them. That's sort of true and sort of not true because we come from the same higher self. So in that sense, the other incarnations are me and I am them.
Hmm.
Okay, but we have to let go of linear. We have to let go of linear because it doesn't work that way. But I remember vividly, I was in my room and an incarnation showed up, and then another incarnation showed up, and then another, and then another, and there were about five. There were about five incarnations that were just in the room with me. And I'll share one. I'll share one. One is Merlin. So there were five incarnations, and Merlin was there in the room with me, and they're all just looking at me, not saying anything, saying absolutely nothing, emanating nothing. I wasn't getting anything from them because everything is telepathic. So they were emanating nothing, Brian. They were literally just standing there, and there I am, and lying in my bed, looking at everybody, right? And I could tell Merlin like kind of wants to say something, right? So I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, "What? What?" And he looks at me, and he looks at me, and he's like, and I'm like, "What? What?" Right? And he just looks at me and he goes, and in that moment, everything that I had felt as a kid, because some of those incarnations were in there, everything that I had felt, everything that I had known about why I'm so weird and why I'm so different, why my consciousness is so odd, and why I can do strange things. I knew in that moment everything had been confirmed for me. But that was only well, maybe about 7 years ago. I suspected since I was a child, but that was the confirmation because then at that point I was able to communicate with them all at that point once I kind of realized what the gig is here as RJ, what the gig is here as RJ, and kind of what was going to happen or what was meant to be. But I remember that moment like it was yesterday, and it was. I needed to have that, Brian. I needed to have that. I needed the confirmation for me to continue my work as RJ, because there was 0.0001% of, wait, this can't really be true. Can it? This is crazy. There's no there's no way. There's no way. Even though I suspected and had all these different experiences in my life and all these different communications in my life. But in that moment, it was 100%. It was 100% known. And thank goodness for it, because I feel it really helped me to continue my work as RJ.